When we first bought this place, it had been used for grazing. There weren't any crops grown on it, but it was grazed way too hard. It looked like a moonscape when we first looked at it. My name is Dede Griffin. We are located just outside of Roy, Montana. This is our property. We call it the Bear Creek Land and Cattle Company, mostly for the Bear Creek that runs through it. The grocery store in Roy sells a little coffee cup, and on that it says Roy in the middle of nowhere. And that's kind of where we are. We've learned grazing is important. It's good for the countryside. It keeps the grasses refreshed. So after a few years, we really came around to that. We have two different neighbors that graze on us, and then we've also brought the crops back in. Many years ago, there are crop fields, and if you go back and look at the maps, you can see them. So we've brought those crop fields back in.
In 2018, Mike Lucas, our local district manager for the NRCS, he knew that we were kind of conservation oriented, and he contacted us, asked us if we would be willing to host a workshop. It was kind of a partnership between NRCS and Utah State University. Dr. Wheaton had developed these techniques for mimicking beaver dams, and he termed them beaver dam analogs. There's also another structure they called PALS, P-A-L-S, post-assisted log structures. But they put a workshop on in 2019 in Lewistown. They had some private businesses there that deal with stream restoration. They also had a number of government agencies. They brought about 50 people together and had a 3-day course. And then at the end of that 3 days, then they wanted to have a half a day of field instruction. So that's where we came in at.
My name is Mike Lucas. I am the Supervisory District Conservationist for the Lewistown NRCS Work Unit. Robert and Dede hosted this workshop, and we had partners like BLM, Nature Conservancy, Fish, Wildlife and Parks, a variety of others. That led into me writing a Montana-focused conservation targeted implementation plan for installing low-tech riparian restoration structures, beaver dam analogs, and post-assisted log structures on the property.
Our structure's made to look like what a beaver would do. Just a way to slow down the water, back up the water, build some pools, build up the water table. And we did that in August of 19. And within about a week to 10 days, we actually had beavers show up. It was amazing. We were floored. They took those beaver dam analogs and made them better. They packed mud in them. They packed more plant life in them. They really developed the beaver dam analogs that were put in here. And then not only that, but they then went upstream and built their own beaver dams. And so we've got the man-made beaver dam analogs, and then we've got a lot of just natural beaver dams too. Since
we've had the beaver dam analogs in the creek, it's been a huge win for us. We're getting a green zone down there. We're holding back water. I've got places now that when we graze cattle on our place, we don't have to haul water to. These green zones also act as a fire break. And we actually had about a 20-acre fire here 2 years ago. We were able to fight it on one front, and eventually the fire shifted and went into one of our streams that was green, and that's what put the fire out ultimately.
Some of the benefits that we've seen have definitely been stream channel aggregation. We've seen a reduction in head cuts. We've seen channel incisement slow and actually reverse itself. We've seen a widening of the stream channel, increase in that green zone, if you will, that's so important to sage grouse brood habitat, as well as livestock forage. By slowing the water down on the stream reach, we give the water a little more time to soak into the soils. What we're doing is soaking that sponge. Our hopes is that we're raising the water table, eventually slowing that water down so runoff occurs longer throughout the season. This contributes to production for forage for livestock. It contributes to wildlife habitat. Most importantly, to the griffins, it provides some late season brood rearing habitat. These green zones are heavily important as a source of forbs as well as insects that these broods in late summer depend on so much. When everywhere else is dried out, these are little oases where there's still palatable forage and insect life. We've seen an increase in the wildlife with the habitat that we've created or helped, supplemented, however you want to look at it. We've got deer, we've got antelope,
We've got all the upland game birds, sage grouse, sharp-tailed grouse, Hungarian partridge, and pheasants.
I would highly encourage anybody that would have an interest in retaining moisture, water on their land to explore this. It's been a godsend for us.
We all know that beavers are very controversial. Some areas that may be in proximity to hayfields, irrigation infrastructure, road infrastructure, things like that, they may not be suitable for recolonization of beavers, and we have to acknowledge that. So I would suggest that landowners that are interested in pursuing these types of restoration techniques have a conversation with their neighbors, both upstream and downstream.
Everybody wants to do something, whether it's going to Hawaii, visiting the Pope, seeing Paris. I've always wanted to take a piece of land and see if I intensively managed it, what could I generate for wildlife on the property? If I modified the habitat as much as I could, what would that be in results? And that's just a subject that I've always been interested in. And so that's what we're doing, and it's been an interesting journey.